Jiangxi is a rapidly urbanizing province in China. From 2007 to 2017, the share of the urban population increased from 46% to 59%, and roughly 48% of Jiangxi's GDP in 2017 was from the secondary industry, the industry associated with the processing of goods. Now, what used to be a predominantly agrarian economy has morphed into one of manufacturing. Of course, urbanization comes with its own effects. Increased pollution, development of technologies, advancements in transportation, streamlined workflow, and improved job opportunities. While this shift has increased the upward mobility of the general population, there are still those who are left behind in the process. Follow us through the dark alleyways, the crowded streets, isolated villages, busy factories, as we look for some of the individuals left behind in China's rapid race to modernize. These are the forgotten people of Jiangxi. The first destination is Jingdezhen, a city famous for its production of beautiful ceramics and potteries. Here, we travel around the city searching for signs of gentrification and its effects. As I am traveling, I notice a dilapidated neighborhood.
So over here, there are a lot of buildings. They're quite modern, they're quite new. But actually, right next to these new buildings, there are also these really old buildings. And they actually seem to be about to be knocked down. So this can obviously be a sign of gentrification, where maybe because there is a lot of new and updating resources, and the city needs more and more space, these old buildings will have to be knocked away, and that includes the people inside the buildings. They have to be moved out, and a lot of the times this can be really annoying and a hassle for those people.
After looking around the perimeters, we decide to head deeper into the neighborhood.
Okay, so we traveled deeper into this area. Well, I think first of all that a lot of the people here are staying because they've stayed actually for quite a long time, and then suddenly the government just wants them to move. And first of all, this would be really unsettling because like they've lived here a long time and they're really used to the area, and they don't just want to abandon their home that they've stayed in for like, I don't know, years. Second of all, they also might think that the government's the subsidy that they are providing for them moving out is not enough, and it's not worth it. So now we're gonna talk to a lady. We're gonna try asking whether we're gonna try seeing whether we can get an interview with someone. 你好，请问我们是2位学生，然后我们在做个作业，是关于这个地方。可不可以很快的采访你一下吗？哦 ，OK。
40多年我住在这里。
The old lady spoke about how she, like many others in the city, used to create pottery. Now, she dries leather to sell in the market and works in the fields.
现在呢，就以后呢，就在厂里面呢，到厂里面去住去了。再早呢，就改地了，改地了呢，全部把农药卖掉的。卖了呢，这个房子呢就归了几年房管所。这我们去了就觉得几年房管所个房子现在是我们没有工人，也没有房子，什么都没有，就去这个地方。
According to her, this neighborhood was an abandoned construction project.
我们呢去到这里呢，就拿这个空地方呢，就种了点菜。
I then asked her what she does with the vegetables she grows, and she explained to me that it was to reduce the cost of groceries.
为什么就是不搬去那个城市那里住？
没有要买房子了，我们买不起了。这跟我儿子他怎么买的房子去呢？我退休到今年也寄2200块钱。我有的儿子他有一个崽，一个我有一个孙子，一个孙女。我个儿子有2个小鬼， 他夫妻2个都没有单位过，都没有工作过。
住在这里住的多，会不会有感情啊这样的？
我们不是觉得这里有感情，这里不差钱，我自己买不起房子，我到哪里去住呢？我没有办法，这里面有一媳一家，一媳一妇，你懂吧？除了一媳一妇，他们有钱都买房子走了，就是我家里，我狗儿子生病，家里穷，没有买不起房子，就是我一家在这里面去。
After speaking to her for a bit, she invited us into her house for a look around.
这不能居林啊！这下雨，这里面做好做味道，你知道吧？有我的，有黑。
这里是用来做什么的？
这放在这里了，没有租人都租不到，应该不到这里面，不去这个房子。这又没有卫生间，又没有洗澡间，又没有水。
She then took us to the main garden area.
这里面原来这里面都在这里住的是好挤，我们走路都要走进走出的，你让我，我让你。
It turns out that she also shares this living space with several other families, as they also had very little income.
这里面就有一家，在楼下楼上面住的人，现在都没有人去。
哦，他们不住在这里。
哎，都不去在这里。
There used to be more people living here, but many had already moved away to seek better opportunities.
谢谢你。
哦，谢谢，麻烦你了。
麻烦。
After speaking to the old lady, we continued to look through the streets. I imagine most of the able-bodied people had gone working for the day, as the area seemed like a ghost town, with only the elderly cleaning their houses and some children running around. After taking a look around to see how it has affected the citizens, we decided to investigate how gentrification has impacted one of the most prominent industries in Jingdezhen, pottery. Traditionally, pottery is a painstaking art form which takes years of training and experience to produce. But with the rise of modernization, one of the biggest changes to the industry is managing the automation of this art form. While the livelihood of the store owner may not be affected as much, there is most likely a great impact on those craftsmen who painstakingly learned their respective art forms, only to be displaced by machinery. To learn more about this, I went to the Jiangxi Gongchan Daxue, the Jiangxi Communist Labor University, to learn about how the process is becoming increasingly automated.
Okay, so right now I'm at the school, and basically it used to be famous, and in the 1950s it was set up by Mao Zedong, but it majored in agriculture and mechanics, repairing mechanics. So now nobody really wants to do those jobs, so it's become a less popular school.
I learned that the village families hoping to secure a place in this rapidly developing economy are now sending their children to schools focused on teaching to repair and assemble robots rather than learn the traditional art forms.
Okay, so right now we're in Laojie, which is basically a street kind of stylized for tourists, it seems. There are a lot of differences between the village that we went to and the one that we're gonna go to now. So right now I'm thinking that probably the government is supporting this area because, well, obviously for the tourists, which will bring in a lot of revenue, and in addition to that, it will also allow people to be able to go to as a place to buy things and just spend money. So that would help increase circulation of money. So that would explain the big difference between the actual street, the old streets, and this stylized new one.
We meet up with a local pottery shop
这
owner.
些都是你自己做的。
是我自己摇的，自产自销的。反正我跟你讲，等下吃什么东西都有。我们反正也是全都是自产自销的，又不能调别人的东西，调别人的东西赚不到钱，知道不？
那你喜欢做这些陶瓷吗？
哎，有些喜欢不喜欢，那我们做到这行的肯定是要喜欢，是吧？为了生活了，赚钱了是吧？肯定是要有一点。
After a short train ride, we arrived in Jiujiang. Since it's situated between Hunan and Hubei, This city has been one of the 4 largest rice markets and one of the 3 largest tea markets in China. In addition, most of the 4.5 million people here live in rural areas, while the other 14% live in the city. Our adventure started in the city. For those who are retired, many people take a step back from this busy lifestyle and enjoy nature. Traveling to a park by the famously known Poyang Lake, I meet an elderly woman who organizes dance exercise sessions.
我觉得啊，我这个地方一个特点呢，就是年纪偏大。你像我都72岁了，一般都是70、60多岁的，50多岁的只有几个。我刚开始，我退休时刚开始就只有几个人在这里玩，跳的人小小的形体舞吧。后来就实行的广场舞很蛮多的普及了吧，这些婆婆就跳广场舞，完了我觉得来跳传入就越来越多。
Going deeper into the area, I see many people who look around the same age as the elderly woman before, all of them busy and working. In the typical Chinese family, children come back to support and care for their parents, or at least send money. But industrial jobs require the workers to live near the factory, and the low pay makes it difficult for the children to send back much cash. As a result, many of these elderly people still have to work and care for themselves.
我们这里呢，就是为种田为生活，种田为生活，就是这样的，其他的没有什么。这个老人们是种田呢，就是为生活。他有80多岁了，他还在种菜。这个卖菜的人全部是为种田为生活。
我看到有小朋友。
I go to a village on the outskirts of town to see how people there make a living.
So right now we are in the Jiangxi, and it's a small village, a rural village in the Jiangxi province, and it's actually near Jiujiang city. So a lot of the times the people from Jiujiang would just come over to these rural villages to relax, to play mahjong, or to just enjoy the scenery. So this not only helps the people in the rural villages to earn money, but it also allows the city folk to take in the scenery. So it's a win-win.
There's a combination of different vegetables in this small field.
So right now we're in the village, and as you can see, there are 2 pieces of paper taped to each side of the of this gateway. Usually they're actually red, the color red, but right now it's black and white. Usually this means that someone in their family has died, and it's a way of respecting them and saying that they are remembering them. So the words themselves, they say that they miss their family members, they're thinking back about them, and then they're asking how you can find the bright moon and the fresh wind in these sad days. So yeah, this is actually quite different from the city, because in the city you usually don't have these big gates and you can't put these up, and usually you just have to put up on the side of these doors.
Last up was the Wuyuan County, where we traveled to see the more touristy aspect of Jiangxi. Here, we visited a commercialized village, where I looked into the effect tourism has on the surrounding villages.
So right now we're in Huangling village, which is in Wuyang, and basically we were talking to one of the locals here, and they told us that this is actually a very touristy village, so it's aimed mostly for tourists, and basically a lot of the times people just rely on tourism in order to actually support themselves and earn money. So in this village, actually, the government provides a kind of subsidy for the villagers who are displaced or are affected by the tourism. And what we found out from the local that we talked to was that they actually receive very little money, and also the local villagers used to live up where we are standing right now, but they were actually displaced because of this tourism area, and they had to move down the mountain, and the government basically forced them to do this because the government said they did pay the villagers who lost their houses, but they didn't pay them a lot. In addition, when they moved down to the bottom of the mountain, they also had to pay for their own houses, and the government made the houses a little more expensive than what they originally had. So in the end, it was just for the government to profit.
While leaving the village, I speak to the driver, who is a nearby resident of the area.
帮了下面开发商他过来开发起来嘛，开发旅游嘛，就是带动了那个人我们这边的资源带动起来了嘛。
那当时有没有人不愿意下去？
有啊，那肯定有的。
那怎么办呢？
因为是欺骗了老百姓的，把人家忽悠下去。
怎么骗？
哎，我们以前的话，他这个开发商过来跟我们说，帮下去了，你们种什么菜东西卖给他。
就是当初承诺的东西都没有实现，
当初承诺的都没有实现，都是骗你们的。我们本来帮下去了分红的话，一个人一年有好几千块钱，现在一个人一年的话只有500多块钱分红。
那搬下去住的地方是政府提供给你们的？
这个是他们做起来，但是他们做的质量太差了。房子反正现在有100%的房子都是漏水的，漏水的，反正漏过一次嘛，他叫人漏了嘛，他叫人过来维修嘛。现在房子已经补救不了了嘛。
那听起来搬下去是亏了，
搬下去肯定是亏的，因为我们这里有的人家是不搬啊，他最后你再不搬的话，再给你加点钱，你再不搬嘛，叫那些黑道过来整理。
那其实你觉得这是好事还是坏事？
这个也没什么好，没什么坏，就是差不多，也没什么好。人生不要想得太复杂了，是不是啊？把它想简单一点，哎呀，不要去跟他们计较那些东西。反正这个开发起来，你交通是方便一点，有的小生意也可以做一点。好处肯定是小部分人他是在这承包的，跟着开发商帮他们做事的人啊，帮他们一起就是欺骗老百姓的人，他那些人是赚钱的。
少数人，
只有几个人是赚钱的，其他的多数都没什么赚钱，没赚很多的。像他们前排搞得好的话，就4个人，一年的话基本搞得好的话，20万，就是20万多的，今年没有的。
Undoubtedly, Jiangxi's rapid development has positively influenced many people. But this rapid development comes with the cost of leaving some groups of people behind. From those with now outdated skill sets, to the elderly who can no longer conduct physically tasking labor. The government has tried to fill this gap in with tourism, most likely hoping that the conversion from an agricultural industry to a tourism industry would help develop these communities. But as the driver said earlier, the government is the one receiving most of the revenue. Li Ming, a mold polisher in Dongguan, says, "The government thus far has not yet provided specific support to needy workers, such as financial subsidies for vocational education and training for adults. Private employers are not incentivized to transfer less competitive workers to new positions with similar salaries and benefits, either. This growing income gap is a similar issue that many other countries are facing, but to China, its importance is far more acute due to its large population. Ultimately, the government's ability to handle these challenges will be instrumental if it wants to continue its development."